that what I saw when they were good, they were good. And of course they have 3 beautiful kids that I think their marriage is worth fighting for.
Maybe they'll work it out. I mean, your castmates have also done interviews and said they were shocked. I don't know why I'm the only one who's not shocked, but I mean, granted, I know it's edited and like I don't, hang out with them like you do, but from a viewer's point of view, they've had some ups and downs, and the whole Tampa thing the first season that Drew was on, and I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely understand from a viewer's perspective how it could be like, okay, well, this looked like it was coming. But, when you spend a lot of time with them and you get to know them a little bit deeper, it was a little bit shocking, especially because we were just around them, and it wasn't like they were, like at odds, they were together. They seemed happy. They arrived at the party together. Like she planned it, like it was, she texted me, come, so it just felt like the timing of it just felt a little bit weird.
A little bit weird.
Yeah.
What about, because I mean, Bravo it's only happened this season with Vanderpump Rules and your show. I don't think it happens very often. Like when the cameras actually picked back up, like, were you part of that, or was that just really Drew and Ralph? Or like, I mean, that must've been strange, right?
Yeah, it was strange. So I was a part of that a little bit there. Yeah, obviously I'm only 2 seasons in. First season that didn't happen. Once we were, principal photography was done, it was done. But they came back up, and I think rightfully so, because obviously Drew's relationship has played a huge part in her storyline and in, how we see Drew and see Ralph. So it made sense to me. And yeah, I was a little bit a part of it. I talked to Drew and Ralph, not in person, but, on the phone and stuff like that, and some of the other ladies. But I think, the majority of it was really kind of covering them and figuring out where they were.
I mean, has this, because you guys have had ups and downs, but now like this is a big thing to be going through in life. Like, has this brought you and Drew closer? Like, will it bring you closer? Just kind of like, a moment of crisis.
Absolutely. I have reached out to Drew more now than I ever have, because, this is hard stuff. This is real stuff. And I 100% want to be there for her. And, I know that she has a lot going on, and, she responds when she can. And we, I've talked to her on the phone a few times, and we saw her this past weekend for Family Feud. And that was fun for us all to be together again. And she was in good spirits, and so, yeah, it definitely has brought us closer together. And I hope that she knows, and I've expressed it to her many times, that I'm 100% here for her if she needs me in whatever ways.
That's good. What about Ralph? Like, I know your husband and Ralph like got really close last season. Yeah. Like, is he still close with him, or?
Yeah, Ross and Ralph were hanging out a week and a half ago. All the guys, they were together. And, from what Ross tells me, and I still talk to Ralph too, because I got a lot of love for both of them. Ralph, it feels like they both don't really want it. So I'm like, oh, why are we here? It feels like they're both, really broken by it. So yeah, but Ross has definitely been keeping in touch with Ralph, and, they're making sure to keep their friendship, which I'm really happy about.
And you really get the impression from both of them that like they don't really want this.
No, I don't think they both want it. No.
Well, if you and your husband Ross are talking to Ralph and you're talking to Drew and you sense that they both don't want it, maybe you should throw a dinner.
Right? Like bring them on a date and have them work it out.
Right? I mean, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'll talk to Ross about it.
Or maybe he'll just say, Sanya, are you insane? We are not getting involved in this. Let's just run for the hills.
Exactly.
Do you feel like, how is your husband with this? Like, what does he feel about this experience? Like, what as being a house husband of the Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Yeah, at first he wasn't too keen to being on the show. He was very nervous. Obviously, we all are aware of the, relationship and marriage curse that people say comes with being on reality TV. And even when this whole thing happened with Drew again, Ross and I kind of like, pull back, and we're intentional about having conversations around all the things, like, like how am I making sure that I'm prioritizing him and all that stuff. And I'm grateful for that. But at first he wasn't 100% on board. And then in time, he was like, okay. And then especially after season 1, where he realized that they don't force you to do anything. There is no script. Like, this is just really you being you. And he was always like, as long as I can do that, then it's fine. So even in this season, I feel like he's even better. Like he's even more relaxed and even more of himself. And so I think season 2 is great for him as well, but it took a little work to get there.
Did you guys worry about, I mean, it sounds like you did, at least with the Drew and Ralph, of like, you know, that curse of reality TV, and like,
Yeah.
do you worry about that? Or I mean, I guess the fact that you're even checking in and talking about it, you're probably ahead of most couples, I would think.
Yeah, no, I am extremely intentional about, checking in with my husband, because my marriage is the most important thing to me. So I could care less about anything else. Like if the show becomes a hindrance to my marriage, I'm not doing the show. If I'm Nike, whatever work I'm doing, if it's not benefiting my family, then it's not good for me. And so, when that happened with Drew and Ralph, like we have the conversation, like, like we don't pretend like it's not happening around us. I think that that's the worst thing you can do. And so, yeah, so we went on vacation, and we just, like I said, a reset and being intentional about prioritizing our love and our family. And then everything else kind of falls into place, behind that.
Well, I think that's really the key right there. I think not just with Atlanta, but with a lot of franchises, having spoken to all of you, I just think somewhere along the way, certain people get lost in the show and the fame and the money. It just takes over. And I'm not criticizing people. I just think that's what it is. And when someone says that their family is the most important and they truly mean it, I feel like what could really go wrong at that point, right? I just think it's not the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You are welcome. We saw a lot of in the trailer. We saw a lot of cameos. We see, just DeShawn Snow and Cynthia Bailey and Kim Zolciak and Lisa Wu. Like, did you watch this show before you were on it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely watched the show and was always a fan of, the RHOA. I think that it's an iconic show, an iconic franchise. And so, yes, I am well aware of all the ladies that have been on the platform.
What was it like? Like, what were your impressions of Kim Zolciak?
So, I didn't film with Kim this season. So I filmed with Sheree. And I don't know, I know for sure they had one scene that Sheree said was real fun, but I don't know how many times Kim filmed with Sheree. I filmed with Cynthia. We filmed with her quite a bit towards the end of the year. And DeShawn came to one event, but it wasn't just us housewives. It was like a huge event. So I didn't get a chance to interact with her a lot. But, I always think it's really great. It's nostalgic for the fans to get to see so many of those people who they first fell in love with and why they still watch the show. So I think it's great for the show. And I'm looking forward to watching those episodes, but no, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with the OGs that came back.
It's like, I agree. And thank you, Sheree, for kind of bringing all these people back into the fold.
Yeah.
What about Nene Leakes? Some say she's one of the greatest housewives of all times. Like, do you know her from living in Atlanta? And like, how would you feel about working with Nene on this show if she was coming? Would you be scared of Nene? She could be scary. Would you be like, bring it on? This is exciting.
Yeah. So I've met Nene a couple of times, but hung out with her once at Marlo's birthday party, and she was a riot. Like she is exactly who she was on the show. And that's what I love, right? I love when people show up authentically, in all their spaces. So it was really fun to meet her. I would love if she came back into the fold. I think if I was coming on for the first time and Nene was there, I might have been a little bit like, oh. But I think now, having had the experience, I don't think I'd be, I think it'd be like, bring it on. I think that she brings a lot, right? And I do agree that she's probably the most iconic housewife of all time. Her contribution to the platform is, kind of unmatched.